In terms of businesses which are doing well, you're seeing a lot more online education as a means to market brands. So the idea of basically demonstrating your expertise through video streaming as a means to market, that's certainly something we're seeing more of.
Hello, I'm Steph McGovern. Welcome to episode 3 of Adapting to the New Now, brought to you by NatWest. Now this week, we're talking about all things marketing. So how to make sure your business has the most effective strategy. I'm very pleased to say that we are joined in this episode by Ranzie Anthony, who's the co-founder and chief creative officer at Athlon, which is a global design and innovation company. Thanks very much for joining us, Ranzie. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Steph. Really good to meet you.
Very good to hear. Ranzie, you deal with lots of different clients in different sectors. So how are they approaching marketing at the minute? Has it changed since this pandemic started?
For a lot of our clients, they knew already that they had to embrace digital technology and digital media, but coronavirus has really accelerated that. So this idea of having to operate a digital-first business model is something that they're really looking at. So whether it's clients in finance or technology or specifically the retail sector, we're really seeing that operating this digital-first model is important, and looking at how you can create new products and services around that is something that we're really seeing.
Yeah, and just talk us through, for those who might not know, what a digital-first product is. What does that mean?
So let's look at a craft brewery, whereby their main route to market might be via a pub or a restaurant chain or even a grocery. The idea that they spin up an ability to market directly to consumers, maybe they might set up an online store, they might set up a website, they might set up some other channel which enables them to get their product to market and to enable them to market directly to the end recipients of their product is something we're seeing more and more of.
Yeah.
So this idea of creating new digital products and services, which in a world whereby we all have to be a little bit more remote, and the way that you normally get to your customers may be changing, that's what we mean by digital first.
Yeah. And how's it going for businesses, do you think? Like, who's doing well and why?
In terms of businesses which are doing well, you're seeing a lot more online education as a means to market brands. So organizations who are taking advantage of streaming channels or setting up online portals to really demonstrate their expertise, be that a gym where you can subscribe to online training classes, or restaurants who are putting up cooking classes. So the idea of basically demonstrating your expertise through video streaming as a means to market, that's certainly something we're seeing more of. Also, the idea of, if everybody's online, trust becomes much more important. So ensuring that you're capturing reviews, that you're finding ways to demonstrate that other people are using and positively engaging with your product becomes much more important, especially when we're finding that people can't go into stores to experience it. So they need to rely on the opinions of others. So overall, what we're seeing more and more of is that organizations are really looking at their online environment. Is their website up to date? Does their brand look like it's modern and contemporary and optimized for digital channels? Are they really clear in their messaging? Are they appearing well in search? All of these things become much more important, A, given the coronavirus, and B, I think they're going to be more important going forward.
It's interesting you say the word environment as well, because that makes you think much more widely than just thinking, oh, it's about getting everything out there. It's about thinking about the environment you're now in.
Yeah, so a lot of people will naturally think that online relates to your website, but there's lots of other channels which are important. How are you using social media? How are you using email? How are you using content to ensure that you're going to be visible in search? So when we think about online environment, it's really about that ecosystem of all of those things together, which are going to ensure that your brand is visible, especially in a context where everybody's a little bit more remote.
So the businesses that are not doing marketing well, what are they doing wrong, do you think?
I think businesses which are not doing marketing well are not really focused on online. They're not really focused on building a sense of community. They're not really focused on good customer experiences. They may have slow websites. They may not be very active or responsive in social media. They may not be very visible in search. And I think that what you're finding is that a lot of the established brands who are not taking care of that are being superseded by fast-moving, more agile startup businesses who are really taking a greater share because they're moving much more quickly, they're much more optimized for this new digital age which we're all operating in.
What are the challenges?
I think some of the challenges are legacy technology. So for a lot of larger organizations, they're coming from a background whereby they've invested quite heavily, or they might have quite complex internal infrastructure, which means that it can be difficult to pivot. I think there's also a people and processes piece to it. So, are your team geared up to make the changes which will be required to operate in a slightly different way? And do you have the internal processes to do that? However, again, the last few months has forced this change on a lot of organizations. And in a positive way, it's demonstrated that working remotely, spinning up these new technologies, being able to collaborate remotely, it's almost proven the business case around that. So, if anything, it's illustrated that change can happen and change can be delivered at speed if you need to.
Yeah. Where do you think we're seeing then, Ranzie, the biggest changes in how businesses are marketing themselves?
One of the really interesting things is we're seeing is this change towards subscription services. So, for example, most people will be familiar with Spotify or Netflix, but we're even seeing car brands now offering subscription services where, you can lease or have a car over a set period of time. And I think that's helping organizations really rethink their business model into more bite-sized chunks. So, for example, there's a tire brand which during their production cycle are adding sensor data to that. And what they're doing is they're taking that data and being able to monetize it as a service. My point being that the idea that you can look at what your business model is and be able to really think about how you can break it into bite-sized chunks and be able to offer different parts of that as a subscription service is something that we're seeing.
Yeah. Is there anything that isn't changing when it comes to marketing?
I still think marketing per se is really important, and building trust and relationships is really important. It's just that the nature and the way in which we do that will slightly evolve. But the principles of being able to market your brand, deliver fantastic customer service, and through that encourage people to be loyal and advocates for your organization, those principles still will remain the same.
Ranzie, as we've seen with things like ad revenues, they've really fallen off a cliff because often when businesses are having a tough time, it's marketing and the marketing budget that takes a hit. So what would you say to business owners out there who are thinking, I haven't got the money to spend on marketing at the minute?
So you can be quite precise and quite targeted with your marketing now, especially when you're thinking about online. So you can really look at a specific audience. You can be quite targeted in terms of demographics. You can really focus on the behavior and the trends that your target audience are interested in. So I think that marketing doesn't necessarily need to be expensive, but it is absolutely something that is an investment. As we start to come out of this, you want to be one of the brands that people continue to recognize and continue to build an affinity with and continue to trust.
So what would your advice be to particularly, I guess, small business owners who are thinking about marketing and not really sure what they should be focusing on? What would you say to them?
I think that there's two key areas you need to look at. One is ensuring that you're visible online. So whether it's through that you're going to be visible in terms of search, and you're going to be visible in terms of people who are interested in potentially your product or service. And there's ways in which you can do that, both in terms of your website and your content, but also making sure that you're optimized for search visibility. But the other equally important piece is ensuring that your existing customers, you're continuing to engage with them. So you've got a good customer relationship mechanism or management tool sitting behind your company so that you can continue to engage with existing customers or past customers, and you can really build that loyalty and advocacy.
It feels like we're all learning something about business through all of this. What have you learned, would you say?
So one of the things we've certainly learned is the importance of being agile and being able to react quite quickly. we were fortunate and that we were able to pivot from all working in an office and to working remotely. And that's worked quite successfully for us. But it certainly made us think about, well, some of our team actually quite like working from home. Some of our team actually quite like working remotely. So, the balance of how much do we need to be in an office? And if you've got remote teams, do they even need to be in the same city? So I think it's really certainly made us rethink the nature of how we operate as a team and as a company, and the nature of, where we may even hire in the future. So yeah, certainly the importance of being agile and being slightly more open to change is something that we've certainly learned through this period.
Are you not going to miss seeing your mates in the office though?
Yeah, I mean, culture is a massive thing for us. We're a creative agency, and having a good team culture and the banter and the and the drinks on a Friday, they're all of the things that we miss. We've had some funny experiences trying to do similar things over Zoom, but we are all looking forward to kind of reconnecting again, when we can all get a bit kind of in the same space.
Yeah.
But how we find a way to do that remotely, that's one of the things we haven't figured out, but it's certainly one of the things that we're keen to keep.
Ranzie, thank you very much. Lovely to chat to you. Do make sure you join us for the next episode of Adapting to the New Now, where we'll be talking about how you can make sure you and your workforce feel confident about the journey into the new normal.